Hello, welcome to Let's Run Facebook Ads, episode 17. The new call button when running traffic on Facebook ads. With myself, Nick Boddington, Matt Rubus, and our special guest today, James Urquhart. Matt didn't get the memo if you're watching this on YouTube. James and I did. It's green tops today.
How you doing, guys? I'm making up for it with plants, though.
Yeah, I like your setup today, actually, Matt. I was going to ask you earlier on the call what you've done, where that lamp's from. It's nice.
That is, I can't remember where that's from, but the plants are from the rest of the house, and now we've got no plants anywhere else.
Fair enough.
Is that a real plant to your left?
My left, this one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're both
nice.
They're both real. I just got to make sure that I don't kill them now that they're in my room.
Well, welcome, guys. The reason why James has come on today is because he's quite close to this one, actually, aren't you? So Facebook has basically recently launched a call to action button when running a traffic ad, which is to allow you to put a phone number in for people to press the call button when they see the ad. So this is perfect for restaurants and things like that. But James, on our side, has been doing a lot of work with local businesses and where we run, impressions and traffic and things like that. But as soon as he saw this ad come through, this new sort of update, he got a bit excited, and we've started running this for clients. So that's the sort of stuff we're going to discuss today. We're not going to go it's very basic how to actually set up this ad. This is pretty new. Well, it is actually really new because, Matt, you didn't know about this last week, did you?
I think it was more, I didn't realize that they've now done it on traffic because it was always Reach before.
Which wasn't brilliant, was it?
No. So I didn't realize that, it changed over to traffic. So, yeah.
So so basically today we're going to have a chat about that. Now, it used to be that it was a Reach campaign. Now, we always talk on this podcast. We have a couple of little strategies that we do for Reach, but otherwise we don't really do Reach campaigns simply because for our clients, we're always running return on investment. We're always trying to get as much back for our clients, whether it's lead gen or whether it's e-com, selling their products or whatever. So even though they had this call to action button on Reach, we're never really dipping into the Reach objective. But from a traffic point of view, traffic's a lot more common even in running ads, because from an e-commerce point of view, I've just been setting up an ad for someone who sells marble, like kitchen surfaces, not marbles. And I'm going to set up this ad for them because we're running traffic into them. People on the website, they've actually started getting some leads from people who are actually getting quotes, even coming from traffic, which is great news. And the call to action button on this is just another thing to their arsenal, isn't it? Because it all depends on the business. You're probably not going to have use that call to action on an e-commerce website because it's less likely that someone's going to need to call that company to find out about the product. You're not going to call Amazon, are you? But from a marble company or Matt, other clients that we can discuss of yours today, even like that house building company, it could be worth a try with them, couldn't it? It's just changing the copy on it. So that's what we're sort of going to discuss today. A little bit over how you set this up, which is pretty simple. You just go into a traffic ad and you just got to make things. So we'll go over that later and there's a few little things that when I was setting it up, I was like, why can't I see this call to action button? And you actually have to make sure that it's link clicks and not landing pages. But otherwise, James, do you want to chip in with, because we've got that local business test we're doing we started that last Wednesday, didn't we?
Yeah, it was Wednesday or Thursday. I guess in terms of the call, that new feature is fantastic. But I guess you guys go into a lot of detail with Facebook ads. So if you're a lead generation company, you've got sales staff you're trying to create leads for, or you're in e-commerce where you've got a physical product that you're trying to sell, the detail you guys go into is fantastic. But I guess in terms of the new call feature button, that is potentially usable for the smaller local type business. And I guess the question I want to pose to both of you today, and I've got a few depending on what your answers are to this, but is why don't small local firms use paid Facebook ads?
That's the first question.
That is question number one.
I think it comes down to a lack of understanding for generating. Like let's say you're a shop, you're a clothes shop, That closed shop basically is that owner is under the understanding that they open a shop, they get it all kitted out, they open the door, and they will come. Yeah, and I think that's pretty simple. There's no let's get people to come back into the shop and buy something. They're not collecting telephone numbers, email addresses to send people emails saying, hey, we're doing a 40% sale off, coming back into the shop. There's never any of that sort of doing, is it? It's just like, oh, it's a quiet day today for a Saturday. No one came in the shop really. Or did you go out? Did you try and think of any other way of generating business to try and get someone to come into the shop? And I think that's where it all falls down. The same with restaurants. I mean, you might have like Just Eat as a takeaway service because everyone else is doing it. Oh, we'll do that as well. But this sort of call to action would be absolutely fantastic for restaurants and places like that, wouldn't it? Because you're searching for a restaurant and you can just call them. I'm always looking for the telephone number on a website or a restaurant or something. You're always having to go through to the website, and you're lucky if the telephone number on the website allows you to press it and then call. Yeah, or do you have to memorize it and put it into your phone?
Yeah, but look at someone like Just Eat, and those applications now, they charge the restaurants. Not many people know this, between 20 and 30% of that spend. So if you go buy,
so that's why they put the orders up higher and they cost more, like Deliveroo for something.
Yeah. So if you looked at Papa John's as an example, if you were to order 2 pizzas from Papa John's through Just Eat as an example, it'd cost you about 40 quid. If you went on to Papa John's website itself or their app, you could get like a bundle for £20, which is like 2 large pizzas, all the rest of it, some sides. It's half the price, isn't it?
Yeah. But the restaurants relying on that service to bring in business, opposed to thinking about how they could create new business themselves.
Correct. So why aren't they using it if it's there? And is it just the understanding? Button? Or just paid social in general?
Well, because it's the same as boosting, isn't it? It's a new thing. It's like boosting. Matt and I we had that episode where we were talking about don't boost, because it's people don't understand the metrics of why you would press the boost button.
Well, I think a lot of it why people like local businesses just generally don't use paid is because they've used the boost button and they've not got the result that they wanted. So then they don't.
So then they think Facebook advertising doesn't work. I'll try it. It didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work, or it cost me a load of money and I saw no return. That was just because they weren't set up properly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So when we had that conversation, James, yesterday or this morning, it was all about the fact that, like, when we've tried other things to try and get these other local businesses to do it, there's always a massive interest, isn't there? It's not hard to get that interest, but it's hard to make that business understand what the results are and what they actually want to see as a result, I think.
Yeah, it's I guess I get very frustrated with the smaller businesses that don't see the value in paid social. I guess I've got my bee in my bonnet with it all at the moment, because they put so much emphasis over the years of creating this organic following. And there's some local coffee shops, especially where we are in Leamington, that, to be fair to them, have amazing followings. Look at people like Coffee Architects and Farmers Fair. Just those as an example. They've created an amazing following, and they get a lot of business from it. But even if you looked at someone like Coffee Architects, you can actually see her engagement dwindling. You can actually see it, and I've gone away and had a look at that. Now, do you think many of those companies, or those two examples, do you think they know how Facebook are changing in terms of who's actually seeing their post?
No, they'd have not.
In terms of what?
I think on the whole, no, they're probably not close enough to it to know that the algorithm changes and all of this sort of thing, are they?
And it's the understanding. That's why we exist, because even the big businesses don't understand it, let alone a one-man band who's running a cafe, who's trying to order the stock, trying to get people in, trying to deal with suppliers, and especially what's going on at the moment with the coronavirus. It's a complete lack of understanding, isn't it?
It is, but it's very frustrating. And something like this call feature button can and should potentially change the way that some of these smaller businesses can create new custom.
Yeah, I think it will work the best when they move it into an actual objective like conversion. So for the people who are listening to this who don't understand that, it's like you've got the different types of campaign conversions, objectives. When you're setting up a campaign, you've got your reach and you've got your awareness, and then the second column you've got the sort of more expensive way of running an ad, which is your traffic, your video views, and things like that. And then you've got the most expensive way, which is the conversions, where it might be a lead gen conversion, a purchase conversion, a catalog sale, or store visits, which aren't running at the moment, but will run again in the future. That's another one that could be added to this in the future. Is if they move that, they've gone from a call to action of making a call from a reach, they've moved it to a traffic. I think they're testing to see how that works, because if they then moved it, obviously they're not going to have any data, probably because it's flopped at reach level. But if it works at traffic level and the algorithm starts getting a lot of data of people that are pressing that button, then the algorithm's surely going to move into a conversion objective, isn't it? What do you reckon, Matt?
I don't.
And then it's like the Holy Grail, surely.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, how do you see that working though? Because it would come down to the tracking.
What do you mean?
Do you mean that like Facebook would have to introduce something that actually tells us when that call has happened? Because at the moment we rely on that conversion coming into Facebook through the pixel. So there would have to be some sort of tech involved to say, and I know that there's third parties out there that do that. So you can track that whole Facebook button, call me now, click to a call actually happening. Whether or not Facebook will introduce that, but that would be the next logical step.
Well, it's what you said.
Go on.
I was going to say, in terms of what Matt's just said then, it's you're right, Matt, because unless you have a third-party app, right now we couldn't track how many people have actually gone through. You know, if I look at one of the tests we're doing for a construction company at the moment, they've had, since Wednesday or Thursday, again, we're testing this internally, they've had something like 56 people click the ad, which is a call now for a quote, which is just someone looking for an extension or a loft conversion. So the fact that they've had 53 is fantastic, but when we've called the client, they've said, well, actually, we've had no calls.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because not many businesses are running them and the consumer, the audience receiving the ad, doesn't actually expect it to just pop up with, so you actually want to call this business now?
I think because even when I was sort of, before the ad went live, I was just having a look, and it is quite like, oh, bloody hell, I'm now going to call someone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It is quite startling because you're not used to it, are you? With social media at the moment, it's like, go to a landing page or, all the stuff that's great. This is just hey.
Well, yeah, actually, now you guys have said that, it's quite weird, actually, because we've probably spent the last 10 years moving away from actually speaking to a human being. Haven't we?
Yeah.
Even when you go onto a website, you're on the chatbot.
And if you compare that to like what you were saying, so like it's kind of like removing ads away from it, but just thinking about like, just the consumer and that journey. Somebody like, say, I don't know, I wanted to order a takeaway tonight, and I went onto Google and I was going to ring it through. I'm looking for that restaurant. I'm seeking out that. I'm searching for it. Whereas Facebook is interruption marketing, so it's like putting an ad in front of somebody to call for a quote or call for an offer on a restaurant deal or whatever, but they might not be in the right position at that point to actually have that phone call.
Yeah, so I suppose if we were to go back to that marble worktop company, so if I'm driving traffic in at the top, middle of funnel is talking about, at what point are you at? Have you got your measurements, blah, blah, blah. And then you could probably split test that bottom of funnel, couldn't you? Where get a quote today, click here, which takes you back to the website, put your measurements in, or, are you having a trouble understanding how this actually works, or do you want some useful tips to get to your measurements or whatever? Call us now and we want to speak to one of our representatives. I think the only downside to it all is that it runs from a traffic campaign, but I might be wrong. But then you could, like from our point of view of how we run ads, the standard business doing it will just go, I'll run traffic in the call button. But what we would do, if that marble company were running a load of traffic to it and there's loads of website visitors, then we could just retarget that to people who've been on the website or certain places on the website. So actually, you're actually using the traffic ad, like we've used the reach techniques in the past, is you're using traffic, but you're driving the traffic to an audience of thousands of people over the last 30 days who've been on the website and done an action to try and get them to call. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are circumstances that you do want to call someone.
Yeah.
Aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think you probably are more likely though to call somebody, like if we just take the traditional funnel, you are more likely to call somebody that you already have an awareness of.
Mm.
So retargeting I think could work. Maybe.
So if you're a house builder,
if
you're a house builder, would it be a retargeting thing to say, book your appointment now, call all of our sales representatives to book in a house viewing? Estate agents, like the look at this house, want to view it, give us a call now.
I guess it depends on the product or service, isn't it? If we're going to look at companies that use scarcity, like house builders, in truth, there's a limited amount of plots within a development, call now so you don't miss out. That call to action and that call feature is perfect. Are you going to call your local suit shop to book an appointment because they're going to run out of appointments? Don't think that's is that really is that scarcity there? I wouldn't say so.
No, it only really work, I think, for a retailer if there was like an offer or something like running out.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be used in the same circumstances as a lead gen form. Someone booking something like, I don't know, they want to see a new wedding venue, and rather than going through or gyms, when we go back to when we did the CrossFit stuff, that gym, and you're getting someone to go to a lead gen form to book their free trial, or do they call? I don't know. You're always going to have people who don't want to call and they want the easy route. But then that's where I think you just split test it or run something next to each other to say, there's people have different options.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. I think because everyone communicates in different ways. Like for me, I am never ever going to click a call now button. But I hate talking to humans, and like if I can.
What if it was
such a nice person?
Matt, what if it was a call now to book in your haircut? You'd call them, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't, because I actually one of the main reasons I go to the barber that I go to is because I can book that without talking to somebody on an app.
Is that Matt?
Yeah. Hey Matt J, if you're listening, thank you for having doing such a great job on my hair.
He's not listening.
We've only got like 4 minutes left, so I just want to just quickly go over how you set this up, just for anyone who's listening who might go, I want to do this. You basically select traffic objective, and then when you go into the traffic objective on your second page, you would select traffic, and down at the bottom, when you're in the ad set, you need to make sure that it doesn't automatically default to landing page, because if it goes right at the bottom and you have it on landing page, you're not going to see the phone number button. So you need to click it to link clicks, go down to your ad creative page, and at the bottom it'll blatantly pop up then with phone number, and you click phone number, you put in your country code followed by your phone number, and it means that call button will come up, and then you set yourself live. Done. That easy. Carry on.
Easy. So are we saying then this new call feature is really only applicable to small businesses, or do you think the larger entities could use it as well?
I think larger businesses could do it. I mean, think of massive insurance companies and all sorts.
I think it just comes down to testing it, but not kind of just going with that as the only option for somebody to communicate with that business through an ad, maybe. Like, because if I can leave my details and like have somebody then call me, that's, and if I can't do it like instantly through an app or whatever, then I would rather leave my details and then wait for somebody to come back to me. But then I know, like, that's me personally, like everyone likes to communicate in different ways. A lot of people would rather just get on the phone straight away and just get it sorted. So I think it's having a blend of different ways of people getting into that business.
But Facebook is going to know this, because as Facebook's algorithm gets better with this call function, just like all the other things that we do every day, it's optimized for a reason. So Facebook's going to go and find the people who like pressing this button. So you're not going to see the ad.
Probably won't see it.
Knows that you never press it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if it is something you can optimize for in the future. And actually, if Facebook have to actually divvy out telephone numbers in the future, if that's the route they go down, does that make sense? They actually allocate
you your own number in.
Because otherwise, there's no way of tracking right now the way it is. You can just see the link clicks.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'll do the outro now. If there's anything you want to know about Facebook ads, we're getting some great comments coming from people all around the world. Thank you very much for listening. I'm so glad that we're better than every other Facebook podcast out there, which is brilliant. Thanks, Stace in Arizona.
Thanks, Stace.
Do you guys want to say bye and be polite?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
See you soon.